Terrence Crawford didn't ruin Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. ruined himself. One of my favorite fighters of all time, Errol Spence Jr. attempted to make a comeback tonight against Tim Tszyu, 3 years out the ring and 3 years since his brutal loss to Terrence Crawford. And man, as a Spence fan, this was really hard to watch. Not as hard as this, but still pretty bad. Everything was off for Errol tonight. He was able to show some of why he was so special. I found it really interesting how he was able to use mostly his experience to do so well in the early rounds, even though his footwork was all over the place and he looked nothing like prime Errol. Spence was still able to do some good work, and early on in the fight I thought maybe he could pull it off, but no. Tonight was a combination of every mistake that Errol has made in his life as an athlete, who at one point was on top of the world. I'll never forget when I was first coming into boxing, Mikey Garcia was one of my favorites. He was so good, so technical, and then Errol Spence Jr. beat the shit out of him. This guy was a beast. Non-stop pressure, relentless body work, come forward, break you down, beat you down style. He was different. But not only did Father Time catch up to Errol, years of drinking, a brutal car crash, heading into some of his biggest fights unhealthy, it all of course was gonna catch up to him. And it's so sad to say, but Errol Spence was a shell of himself in there. Even 3 years ago we could say that. Even versus Ugas we could maybe say that. Errol Spence Jr. now has one of the most tragic endings to a boxer's career in history, because almost all of his mistakes were self-inflicted. We maybe never got to see the peak of what he could have accomplished in the sport. The best Errol was still young and learning. Just take a look at these two. One had it all, one was still chasing it. One lived a clean, healthy life, prioritizing his body and training every step of the way. One had it all, didn't take care of himself, almost lost his life, deteriorated his body, and had to then find a way back. Really sucks to say that this is the end of a great career. I really wanted him to pull it off tonight. I saw flashes of what used to be, but he's just no longer there. And the saddest moment for me was 12th and final round. His trainer's telling Errol, you gotta take this round. We need this round. And Errol proceeds to just not even try. That was a guy who's now thinking of his family, his health, staying healthy for the rest of his life. He's got nothing more to prove to himself because he's accepted that he lost what could have been.